Hi again, this is English for Ukrainian speakers. Today we're going to talk about one word and the different ways how this word can be represented in English language. This word is, in Ukrainian, працював. And there are at least nine ways how to present this word in English language. So, if you understand, we're going to talk about the past and present aspect of one and the same word. In Ukrainian language, the word працював is in the past tense. In the English language, there can be ways that this word can be translated in the present tenses or in the past tenses. And mind what I say, present tenses and past tenses. So there are many ways that one and the same word can be translated, the one and the same word працював, into English language. Now, here's why. The problem is that in Ukrainian language, basically, there are three tenses, past, present, and future. In the English language, there are many aspects of the present, past, and the future. We're not going to talk about the future today, only the past and present of one and the same word, which is very, or I'd say, extremely confusing for students that have to deal with one word in Ukrainian and at least 9 ways of representing the same word in the English language. Let's talk about two aspects of one and the same word, працював. And the two aspects are duration and an event. What is an event? Well, if I use this marker and this whiteboard and try to illustrate what the difference between an event and duration is, I do this way. This is an event. And this is what duration is. So if you keep this in mind, you'll remember that duration is a sort of a process. Something is going on, or was going on, right? An event is something that happened. Maybe it happened a number of times in my life. Once, now, then some time passed, then another occasion, then some time passed, another occasion. So that's the difference that's just a simple way of putting the difference between an event and a duration. All right, let's start. What is a duration? Basically, by duration, I mean that something that took place or has been taking place for some time, let's say for a week or for 2 years, or since a point in the past, all day long, let's say all the week long, all the month long, everything that's all long, the whole afternoon, the whole morning, the whole evening, the whole year, something that's the whole year. I emphasize the duration here. Now, let's talk about a process, duration, that started somewhere in the past and finished. In Ukrainian, the sentence Я працював на попередню компанію 2 роки. So this sentence in Ukrainian has got this past tense, працював. Actually, in every example that I'm going to give you, the word in Ukrainian will be represented in the past tense. Here, in the English language, it's likewise represented in the past tense. Which one? Past simple. Why? Because what I've just said is I worked for my previous company for 2 years. Why worked? Why nothing else? Because the process started and finished in the past. If something started and finished in the past with words like for, or since, that's past simple. I worked for my previous company for 2 years or since 2012. And if you say since 2012 and worked, it means that you actually started and finished working. You're no longer working there. So for a process that started and finished, it's worked. I worked for my previous company for 2 years. Now, here a different word. Not a different word, but a different tense. Was working. Was working. When do I use? What are the contexts that I use past continuous for work? Well, as I've just told you, the sentence is called past continuous. Past continuous. And every time when grammar gives us the word continuous, it means there was some process going on. Now here, I can use this tense when I say, when I was working in, let's say, Washington, D.C., I met my future wife. So there was a process at a particular time. When did I meet my future wife? See? I'm talking about the moment. When did I meet my future wife? I met her when I was working. So there's a process at a particular time. Or let's say I was working, let's say yesterday at 6 p.m. Or I was sleeping yesterday at 6 p.m. I specify a moment. So there's a process at a particular time or at a particular moment. When I say I worked for my previous company for 2 years, there's no moment. There's no point in time that I want to specify that at this point in time something was going on. No, it was just a process that started and finished. But I met my future wife when? When was the point? When I was working, or let's say like in Washington, D.C. or so. Now, was working. Likewise, process at a particular time. You can double the process. For example, when I was working, she was sleeping. Two simultaneous processes at the same time. Okay? Was working. In Ukrainian, it's the same thing. Я працював. Now let's talk about a different kind of process. A process that lasted with some specified time, let's say for 2 hours, before or by the time something else happened. So there is usually a barrier. And by saying a barrier, I mean that something lasted for some time before something else happened or before another moment in the past. Let's say the word sleep, right? Oh, the word, not sleep, let's do the word work. I had been working on this project for a year by the time I quit. Okay? So there is a process, it says here, process before something else in the past. I quit is something else in the past, right? We're talking about some past. So I quit. But before I quit, there was a process going on for some time. In this case, for a year. In Ukrainian, it sounds the same thing. Я працював над цим проектом 1 рік, перш ніж я пішов з компанії. Alright? So, I had been working in this case. Why? What's the difference between was working and had been working? The difference is that it's a process at a particular time, some point. Alright? Here, there is before. There is some, you logically understand, when a native speaker uses had been working, which is not a very frequent tense to use, but when a native speaker uses this tense, they imply that there was some process for a particular time. They emphasize there was a process for a particular time before something else in the past. Okay? So it's a process before something else in the past. Now, these are 3 tenses, worked, was working, and had been working, that represent duration with the word працював. The same thing you can probably refer to almost, not everywhere, but almost everywhere. Now here, there is another tense, which can be interchangeable with had been working. Let's say I had worked on this project for 1 year before I quit. You could also say that. I'd worked, or I'd been working, or I'd worked. Basically, in classic grammar, it says that been working, had been working, emphasizes the duration, and had worked basically emphasizes sort of completion of this action. But here, in this action, here, they can be interchanged. Okay? Had been working, or I had worked. Now let's go to so here we see 4 past tenses. Past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous, and past perfect. Now let's talk about the present aspect. In Ukrainian, when you say я працював в 5 компаніях до цього часу, you use the same word, працював, but you're talking about a totally different aspect. You're talking about so many companies that you've worked till now. What I've just said in Ukrainian is, I have worked at 5 companies so far. You're giving a number of companies, occasions till now. Can you use this? Can you call this duration? No, you cannot call this duration. Why? Because we're talking about a number of times. Is it duration? No. We're going to talk about the number of times or occasions a little bit later when I go to event. But I'm just trying to give you the difference. I'm just trying to give you the difference between this one, I have worked. When you're talking about duration, for example, I have worked at this company all my life. I have worked at this company all my life. And I have worked at 5 companies. At 5 companies in my life. The difference, the same tense, but the difference is in the meaning. Here, when you've worked all your life, there's duration. Worked 5 times, that's a number of times, up to now, that's experience. Kind of different thing. Now, we're going to focus on duration here. I have worked at this company all my life. Я працював в цій компанії все життя. You can say this thing only when you started and are still working at this company. Process till now. And the same thing can be used with present perfect continuous. I have or she has been working in this company all her life. Okay? So what's the difference? Well, again, the difference is there's just a very slight difference. Here you mainly want to emphasize that it's such a big part of my life is already gone for that, and I'm still here. And we're talking about has been working in this company. That's you're emphasizing the duration. That so much time has gone and is still going. All right. So basically, there's only a slight difference. So you can also say I have worked at this company all my life. And I've been working this company all my life, or I've worked this company for 2 years, or I've been working this company for 2 years. When you're still working that company. Remember the difference. I worked for my previous company for 2 years, and I've been working for my company, current company, for 2 years. All right? Or I've worked. Good. Now, as I told you before, there's a different aspect, occasion. Occasion. Here we're going to talk about an occasion or an event. Not this. So, have worked or has worked. I've worked at 5 companies, 5 different international companies in my life. Alright? That's a number of times till now. Alright? We're talking about occasions till now. Now, or events. There have been 5 events. 5 such events in my life that I worked at this company, that company, and that company. Now, when you say I worked, it means that there was some certain occasion at a certain time in the past. See the difference? Certain time in the past, somewhere in the past. You're telling a story of something that happened to you in the past. Here, it's relevant to the present moment. I've worked, that's my personal experience, that's my professional experience. Let's say I've worked at 5 different companies so far. Here, this joke worked well when I was, when I was a student. Цей жарт працював добре. Let's say this joke worked well with girls when I was a student. Цей жарт працював з дівчатами або на дівчат тоді, коли я був студентом. Так? We are talking about a particular time in the past, right? In professional context, you could say, I worked at this and this company when I was a student. So you specify a time, a certain time in the past when you had this occasion. You've got this experience, but this experience belongs to a certain time. Because you specify a time, you use past simple. If you don't specify, let's say, I don't specify a time when I say I've worked for 5 different companies. When I say this, it means that there have been so many companies up to now in my life, and there can be more. Alright? Because I cannot relive my life as a student. I cannot say, I have worked at this and this company when I was a student. Because I'm no longer a student. I contradict myself. I say when I was a student, it belongs to the past. Alright? So it's an occasion in the past. Alright? Good? So thank you for watching. So many ways of saying one and the same word, one Ukrainian word, and so many ways of saying this in English. And one last aspect is a habit, a past habit, or a repetitive action in the past. Something that you did or you often did in the past. Let's say, I used to work as a volunteer when I was a student. Used to work. It means there was a habit in your life, you did it repetitively. Okay? It's like I worked as a student. I worked as a student. I worked as a volunteer when I was a student. So you could say the same thing, I used to work, or I would work. Or for short, I'd work. I'd work as a volunteer, or I used to work as a volunteer when I was a student. Here, these two grammar constructions represent a habitual action in the past. Okay, again, so many different ways. So when you're talking about a past action or a past action that has a relation here, this information is for Ukrainian speakers. Think about whether it was a duration or it was just an event. Okay, duration or an event, and that already narrows down the choice of tenses that you could use for your particular situation. Thank you for watching.